and I'm recording.
Good morning. I'm traveling, so I'm not on video this morning.
Are you convening the meeting now? And I'll read the script? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have the script, but I can convene the meeting.
Thank you.
Are we ready to go?
Yep, we're all here.
All right, perfect. Good morning, everybody. Calling to order the Visitor Services Advisory Committee meeting for May 10th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from April? All right. Anyone,
John,
can I get a second?
we go through the welcoming script though?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Remote controlled, conducted open meetings.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and do that, David. As a preliminary matter, this is Janet Schulte, Director of Culture and Tourism. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Sharon Quigley.
Present.
Liz Holland.
Present.
Mary Malavis.
Present.
Matt Peel.
Present.
Sarah Boyce.
Present.
Peter Morrison.
Present.
And Josh Gray.
Present.
And our guest, Peter Burke.
Present.
And staff, when I call your name, please affirm that you're here. David. I can see you, David.
Here.
Good. And Janet Schulte here. Good morning. This open meeting of the Visitor Services Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Visitor Services Advisory Committee is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join in. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials have been provided. Members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. The chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a conversation with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote, and that concludes the reading of the script. So,
All right. Thank you, Janet.
Yep.
Can I get a motion to approve the April 2022 minutes of the Visitor Services Advisory Committee?
Move.
Move. Second.
Second.
All right, thank you. The minutes for April 2022 are passed. I'm just going to pull up the agenda real quick. Peter, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
How's it going?
That's going great. Yeah, I think it's 5 weeks, start of the 5th week. So it feels pretty good to be back in Nantucket and successful daffodil in the rear view. Now it's planning. So it's great.
Yeah, awesome. Tell us a little bit about Daffodil. Did everything go according to plan? How did everything go in the near post-COVID world?
Yeah. So turns out if you deny the public 2 years of their favorite event, then in the 3rd year it's pretty successful. So it was really well attended. Obviously, we had quite literally Chamber of Commerce weather for the whole weekend, which was great. So that put everyone in a good mood, gave us a head start. Obviously, we're working with the crew, myself included, that had never executed a Daffodil Festival. The entire team had obviously participated in them in various factions, and we leaned on a lot of expertise from some people on this call and some other people that former board members, current board members, a lot of volunteers. All in all, smashing success. We've obviously been collecting as many inputs as we can in terms of how can we tune this to be even better next year, both from, internal from our team, external from volunteers and board members. We did meet with the Nantucket Police Department as well and heard their kind of inputs. So yeah, we're steady on for next year.
Awesome. So what's the next big thing on your plate?
Yeah, so we're going to round out our educational workshops this month. Obviously, when we run them in June, no one attends for good reason. So we've got an interesting kind of workshop on Wednesday. We've got the Nantucket High School Job Fair on Thursday, trying to network in as many local businesses as we can with on-island workforce. And then obviously our shift, our focus will shift to the tourism side of the chamber's purview. Where we're, kind of marching orders from my team. I'm trying to get together are the outward facing elements of our business, which is the website, the travel widget, and the newsletter. I think none of them are broken or wrong, but we can tune them to be a lot more informative and a lot more interactive. So that'll be kind of the challenge for us the next couple of weeks.
Great. And then you guys facilitate. Do you guys work with the 4th of July activities and things like that?
We do. The town at this point still has, I believe the town has the front seat in that weekend, but
right.
Obviously whatever we can do to help augment, promote, we will do obviously whatever we can.
Great. Does anyone have any questions for Peter?
This is an easy group. Yes, I see hands. I don't know what the procedures are.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, 1 second. All right. Who had their hand up? Oh, hey, Sharon, go ahead.
Hi, Peter. Thanks so much for joining us. Curious, Karen Maycumber had started a really interesting group, NICE, Nantucket Island Center for Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Could you give us an update on where that stands? I thought that was a great program.
Yeah, that is a really interesting program. And obviously it's a relationship that was born alongside Remain. So actually later today, I'm meeting with Remain to figure out what that program looks like moving forward. We did secure the spring and fall grants. So Karen Maycumber has I believe, sifted through and determined the spring awardings, and then the fall awardings will obviously come later in the year. So the good news is we've been funded for those 2 sessions. I think the other bigger pieces of it are, I think Remain's going to tell us today what they would prefer, whether it's continue funding it the way they have been, or try to push NICE to become kind of its own thing under the chamber. So obviously just trying to make sure we keep that relationship alive is really strong. I think it is a really cool program, but I also know that in its current setup, without Karen and without the right funding, it would be really hard for us to execute it in our current makeup. So we want to make sure we figure out what the next move is for NICE. So that'll be an informative meeting today.
So just a follow-up question on that. Is she, I don't know if everyone in the committee is aware, one of the things that NICE does is it puts on workshops. And I haven't heard a lot about those workshops lately. Are those still running, or has NICE's focus been solely on awards to small businesses?
The Rock Solid grant, I should say, was what the awardings, which is kind of under that NICE umbrella. The workshops, I believe, or we're determining that today, is if we have the funding to make sure we can keep running them. I think the Remain office still keeps some workshops going and some business resources for the new businesses. I believe if you can get free consulting through Remain's office if you're trying to figure out if you should start a company on island kind of thing. The long answer is I don't really know what that's going to look like, but that's obviously what we're trying to determine so that I would love to keep that side of the program up and running. I think it's really important that we offer, that type of resource for the business community.
Thank you, Peter, and good luck with the role.
Thank you.
The town has also provided some funding for the Rock Solid Grant Program as well.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, I believe it was, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but yes, it was very generous from the town as well. It's great.
Sarah?
Thanks. So I work for a nonprofit conservation organization on the island, and different leaders for the Chamber of Commerce have had different levels of support for nonprofit community. And I'm just curious if you've thought about moving forward with the chamber leadership, how you or obviously I'm biased, so I'm kind of like, I'm hoping there's more championing for the natural world and the natural environment, since so much of the open space and conservation work and bird walks, nature walks, all that kind of atmosphere is what brings a lot of people to the island. So I just would love to hear some, aside from just the commercial businesses downtown, how you envision supporting those organizations.
Well, firstly, we are also a 501, so we're champions of the 501 world here at the Chamber as well. So that is important to me. In terms of the green space and the Nantucket's beauty being an attraction of its own, it really is. I'm a wholehearted agreement, and the new guidebook coming out, it's one of the 3 paragraphs is keep Nantucket beautiful, and it's our collective response. Like personally, it matters to me. From the Chamber's perspective, I think it's a really obvious and easy way to support drawing people to Nantucket is keeping Nantucket beautiful. It would be inappropriate for me to say, hey, we can do this or do that. I can tell you that it is important for us because I really feel it does. Of the 2 major divisions of the Chamber, right? The business education and networking, and then the tourism side. I really feel like it's a major piece of the tourism side. So I don't have any, definitive answers or programs, but I can tell you that it is on our radar that we need to make sure we're paying attention to all the businesses, including the 501s that make up the island.
Thanks.
Peter?
Oh, sorry, Peter, you're on mute, I believe.
Peter Morrison. I'm curious to know just roughly the numbers of people who have expressed any interest or inquired in any serious way about the workshops that the center was putting on. I referred one guy to it. I said, I just looked it over. I said, this is exactly what you need when you come to me and say, how do I start a small business? I said, I can tell you what not to do, but these things are free. I mean, have you gotten, a handful, a dozen, 2 dozen, 100? How many people just inquire at all?
You're referring to the NICE programming and their workshops?
Yeah, the programs that there was several programs that were targeted toward people who said, I'm trying to start a small business. And these are really, somebody working out of his garage, making nice little things out of wood.
Right. To be perfectly honest, I don't have historical data for those workshops. And I think that's obviously what we're trying to get from the point A to point B, is making sure that we do have that data to make a really informed decision. My guess would be if it was anything in the last 2 years, then it was underattended, because that's what as I'm drinking from the fire hose and trying to learn, I feel like the Chamber did a lot of good things, but was trying to figure out the best way to cater to almost too many smaller individual sect programming. I think we need to bring it back a little bit and take a look at what are the demands and asks from the community, and make sure we're providing at least the top level stuff, and making sure that we're not getting too minute, because I think that, the risk is you help a few people like really, really deep, but you're ignoring a bigger slice. So I can tell you that from a strategic standpoint, my hope is to offer more programming workshops, especially as it goes to entrepreneurship. And I know Karen specifically has a really strong passion for that. It matters for her that if you have an idea, you should be able to talk to some business professionals and flesh it out and see what the options are. I want to make sure that we don't say, hey, look, if you're looking to start, a wood carving business, we're offering a wood carving workshop. I want to make sure we keep it as inclusive as possible while offering, real value. And so I don't have the historical data on command here, but I will look for that, and I can send it along to this group if that would be helpful.
I was just curious if it was, nobody showed up or nobody inquired, or, very, very few people inquired. What, for your information, what caught my attention was, in looking at it, I saw the term free consulting, and I thought, go in and get an hour of free advice.
That is a program, I believe, that is run out of the Remain offices for NICE. Or Karen will also take meetings. She has, space here in the chamber offices, and she will conduct meetings here if needed.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Oh, couple.
All right, I'm going to ask a question with my other hat now. So I'm also
Yeah.
a small business owner with my husband. And I will say that when we have met with Karen before one-on-one, and that was very helpful early on. But I will say some of the workshops I've attended were run through the chamber. So there's that distinction between the NICE workshops, and then there's some classes that the chamber themselves run. And I might be, getting this wrong, Peter, so correct me if I'm wrong. So like a few weeks ago, we attended like a, social media kind of Google AdWords, like those types of classes. And I found that really, really helpful. It's just me and my husband. He owns a charter fishing business. And so I helped him with that stuff. And that was really quite helpful, I will say.
Was that the one, if I'm thinking right, we had a third party group come in and say, hey, here's some strategies for you. So I attended that virtually. We had a hybrid situation. We had a couple people in the office. And this is where I think Remain we're trying to redefine. So NICE is technically under the chamber's umbrella right now, but really any of the projects that get funded out of NICE are coming directly from not the chamber's budget lines, but from Rock Solid grant, from the town's grant, to Janet's point earlier. So there's definitely, it's a murky line of division. It would be really clean if we could say, hey, look, NICE is a chamber thing and it's chamber organized and funded, or it's, hey, NICE is a Remain thing. So I think defining that will help provide more clarity to people looking to use that as a resource. In terms of the chamber's education and workshops, we did, I think, 3 since I've been here. And I think 2 of them have been really great. And one of them was, frankly, really poorly organized and underattended and under executed on our end. So like, hey, let's take some notes and make sure that we're vetting our people that are running these workshops before we, ask people to take time out of their very busy days running small businesses to come to a workshop that may not have the chops we need it to have. So I don't think you learn a lot with good and bad workshops. So I think from my perspective, I would hope to offer not necessarily more workshops, but be very discerning on which ones we do offer to make sure they are really of high value.
Great.
Mary.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you, Peter, for being here. I have a question. As the chamber is one of the RTCs for the state, have you seen level funding, increased funding? How is the grant process still working? And do you feel you have enough funds from the state post-COVID to complete the mission that you want to undertake? It may be too soon for you to answer that question.
I appreciate the question, and it's been a really interesting and enlightening learning process of the grant world, right? Coming from the very much not grant world. I can tell you right now, do we have enough money? Yes, but would I like more money? Absolutely. I think the biggest push for the RTCs, and as a group, with the consultants we have that I've sat on a couple of meetings now with that group, the funding has remained flat for 10 years. I think Janet, was that says like the $10 million that everyone splits up, and then we kind of petition for bigger slices of the pie. That money hasn't changed since before COVID, and quite frankly, given the economic state and everything that's changed in the last 10 years, it's inappropriate to not have it an increase for a lot of reasons. And so the RTCs are banding together to try to change things legislatively at the state level. There was an interesting approach by one of the organizations to create, a different fee attached to hotels and rental rates to try to see if there's a different kind of pool of money we can start drawing from. And I don't think all of those will be appropriate. Their strategy might not work here, might work great in Boston and Cambridge, but they laid out a pretty interesting roadmap. So I can tell you that the the funding, I wish it was guaranteed more from the state. I can also tell you that Chantal, running our, our organization's, spearheading our organization's grant petitioning, did a great job in securing 2 kind of one-off grants that will definitely help us in the short term as we look to course correct and make sure we're doing, make sure that the chamber is viable as an employer, as a, and as an organization that has to fund really interesting programming and tourism efforts.
Thank you.
Sure.
Peter?
Peter.
One last question. You mentioned Chantal writing grants. Are you saying that you have someone who knows how to write grants to access the river of federal funding that is flowing downward to lower levels of government?
No, I hope I didn't misspeak. Chantal's, I think purview was making sure that any grants that became available that we applied for, and I think there's some she was able to write with the in-house staff, and I believe there was external help as well. Most of those were applied for before I got here. Actually, all of them were the ones that we've received awardings on. So in terms of grant writing, I'm not gonna, say that we have a great grant writing team on staff, because I don't believe that to be true. I think we're capable, we're really strong, but I want to make sure I don't tell you like, oh yeah, I'm a seasoned grant writer. I think making sure that we are prepared to, approach and get any grants we can is really important, and trying to stay, diligent. The good news is we do have the RTC group keeps their eye on available grants and is very communicative and saying, hey, look, apply for this, it's eligible for these and that. And even programmings like the workshop we're running tomorrow, the networking workshop, is the employee retention credit. If the chamber is eligible, because the chamber retained a certain number of employees during COVID, we're going to try to get money there. Like, we're trying to keep our eyes on any available funding that we can.
Okay, I'm stumbling across all sorts of opportunities via the National League of Cities, and I say somebody needs to know about this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess Chantal would be someone who at least I could send those things to and say, you might be interested in knowing about this.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
And myself, if you don't mind just copying me on there, that way I can help.
Sure.
Thank you.
Great. Peter, I should have started by asking you to tell us a little bit about your background. Would you mind doing that?
Not at all. Yeah, like long walks on the beach and grill outs. I started with Cisco Brewers in 2008 with a very familiar story, as many Nantucket wash ashores, with a crazy cousin was doing work on the island with the Bloody Mary mix. He couldn't staff the White Elephant's Bloody Mary bar on Sundays. So after college, I was pouring Bloody Mary bar Sunday brunches. And then he had been living in the backyard with Dean and Melissa Long in a tent to help them build out the wine bar. So he got me a job on the delivery truck, delivering beer around island, and that turned into bartending, and that turned into management and sales. And then off island national sales manager for Cisco for a few years. And then the last couple of years was at their Portsmouth, New Hampshire location. I'm a New Hampshire native, so it was kind of fun to go back home to the Portsmouth area, which was great. And after we did the conversion from Red Hook Brewing to Cisco Portsmouth, that was kind of the task at hand. Then get through 2 years of COVID. It was kind of looking for the next opportunity. And my old roommate from the island had presented the job opportunity that he saw, and I threw my hat in the ring, and here we are.
Great. Anyone else have any questions? Liz?
Oh, sorry, I believe you're on mute.
Thank you for letting me know. Thanks for coming and meeting with us, Peter. It's great to have you on board. And,
thank you.
And wish you all the luck at the chamber. And I know you'll do a great job with the background that you're coming with. It'll definitely be a different slant. I do think that the more ecotourism that we promote is good, not only for all of the nonprofits, but for the island in general. And I'll just put that out there. But my real question is, when are the guidebooks actually coming? We still have some at Highline from last year. Not very many, but I'm just curious because people have been asking.
The good news is the copy is finalized. The digital version is on our website. But the physical books we're waiting, and I think they're, as everything is, a little delayed. The last update I was told was mid-May. But I know that at this point, it's between the printer and the shipping. But we're hoping to see those obviously before Fagawi and Memorial Day weekend. But at least the digital copy I've been able to email to a couple of prospective tourists, and I can send you that link as well as a stopgap in the short term.
Thank you.
Sure.
Great. Anyone else? Oh, Matt.
Hi, Peter. Nice to meet you. I'm just curious, what a lot of your members in retail and restaurants and stuff, have you guys gotten any like kind of feedback or any kind of a temperature of what the members are feeling as far as this summer and staffing and just housing in general? I mean, are people excited? Are people worried? Or
yeah, I will say I think I hear more, less through the chamber's official outlets and more, out to eat at night with friends that are in the industry, obviously. I think we are underrepresented in the restaurant world. We're going to fix that though, in terms of memberships. But yes, I think we can't not say that there's a housing crunch, right? Like I got approached by, different reporters. Town meeting obviously was very important. It's very clear that there are a lot of, it's a really complex issue. And one of the requests I have to the board to make sure that, the chamber has a response. I don't think the chamber's solely responsible for finding, fixing the issue. And I don't feel that from this call at all. I think it's really important that the chamber gets involved as one of the active members of this business community to figure out if we can help with a solution. And if that manifests in a physical way as, hey, we want to host a part-time housing board where it's, hey, you've got a part-time worker and I've got a part-time worker. Let's make that the same part-time worker. And, now we have one person that needs housing instead of two, kind of thing. So I don't know if that's how we can help the best. I will say that the chamber has been quiet. We're not beating the drum on one side of the fence or the other. And I think it's also really important that we show that we recognize there is an issue with employers finding viable employees with viable housing. And so I did ask the board of directors, the meeting got bumped from last week to this week to accommodate a potential town meeting or overrun. I did ask them for an official kind of like statement and stance that we can best serve our business community, because I don't think we have done as much as we can. I also want to make sure we're really careful on how we do it, because it's a very polarizing issue. And, I want to make sure that whatever response we take is very responsible for the members that make up our membership. So it's a long way of saying we don't have a plan yet, but we want to help.
Thank you. Anyone else? I guess while we're on the topic of this summer, Peter, any other points of interest that have come your way that might benefit this group? Obviously we're hearing from everybody that we talk to that it's going to be a really, really busy year. We've been speaking to the folks in the hotel industry, and they said the shoulder seasons are what's filling up right now because of weddings and things like that. But obviously the summer is probably not too far behind as far as maxing out capacities and things like that. Any other kind of points of interest that you've come across?
No, I think that's obviously all the signs, right? The ferry reservations, hotel bookings, weddings especially are pointing to a really, really strong summer. I think, finding the right way to, I think maximize is a dangerous word. It's not trying to like pack more people. At some point, only so many people can make it over. There's only so many beds on the island. How do we make sure that the people that are here have a really enriched experience, right? And I think we've touched on some of the areas. Ecotourism, I think, is underexperienced. And I can, speaking from personal experience, living here for 8 years before, I took a walk the other day in mid-island that I had never been on before. There's so many cool places to experience around the island that I think it'd be really important for us. I think a bigger piece of daffodil that I wasn't expecting was a lot of people were using the wave, a lot more people than I thought would. And part of that, I think, was encouraging. The other side is, hey, what can we do to encourage people to bike, e-bike, ride share. I know there's now the shared bike system out here. So I think getting around the island is going to be kind of a tenet for us to try to nail down, is making sure that when we encourage people to get here, we encourage them to get here and get around using transportation that exists for all the reasons. You want to talk at carbon footprint, great. If you want to talk at less traffic at the Rotary, either one is, any reason you want to pick is good for me. And I think part of that is collective responsibility to make sure that we, get people around and get people to the beautiful parts of Nantucket, rather than just focusing on, I think, the things that get a lot of press, which are the restaurants, the beaches, which are really, really great. Let's look at the other pieces of Nantucket so that we can round it all out.
Great. Anyone else? All right. Well, Peter, thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to have you in this role, and we really look forward to seeing all the progress over at the Chamber.
I appreciate the invite. This is really nice, and obviously everyone knows the phone number and email are everywhere, all over the website. Office is open. Appreciate any check-in, pop-ins, ideas. No ideas too big or too small. No bad ideas in brainstorming. Just from a procedure standpoint, I was going to bounce unless you'd like me to stick around.
No, that's perfect.
Awesome. Any other questions? Just hit me up on email. I'm happy to answer.
All right.
Thank you, Peter. Good
Thank you
luck.
very much.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Continuation of the stranded passenger discussion. Who'd like to start there? Liz?
Well, I'll start.
right.
So there's a lot of pieces swirling around right now. And it is difficult to get people to, because everybody's been so busy responding to, to what the expectations are of the summer and getting set up. But I have made, quite a bit of ground. I did speak with Brendan Coakley at the police. And actually he reached out to me, which was awesome, because I had left a message for Johnny Rocket. And he's very, very interested to hear if we can come up with something, because, the police are the first really to be reached. If, say somebody's off island and they have a family member that's on the boat or in the plane or whatever, for some reason, everyone's going to call the police. So I'm working on an organizational chart that I'm hoping I'll have filled in, that includes, Highline, Steamship, Cape Air, JetBlue. Their last flight's going to be between 7 and 8 at night. And then, of course, 2 meetings ago, I'm not sure, I think it might have been Peter, somebody brought up what happens if, the hotel, in a hotel or a B&B or whatever, something happens and they have no water. Okay, so I almost think that needs to be included in with this. We actually, the 2 nights ago had the situation where there was a guy here, and obviously this is a little bit different, but it made me realize that, even in, it was Sunday night, even in a small amount, obviously not what the kind of thing that we're working on, but just in a small amount of an example is, there was this guy here, he had no money at all. The only way he was getting off was with a commuter ticket. So it's just, it's a good thing just to be thinking about, for us as a company, but also, making this situation, which really just deals with a bad incident or, some sort of an emergency, breakdown or something like that. So I am going to reach out to Diane O'Neill, just as I've gotten the Legion Hall, and I'm here just waiting to hear back from the Westmore as 2 probable places. But I am going to reach out to Diane and just see what the situation is, and actually, if who I'm not actually sure in town government who to talk to about what the involvement would be with the school, if there was something, just to put them on a list of what ifs, the other two can't help out because they have the room full or whatever. But it's coming along, and I have June 1st as a date where then I'm going to have to, move on to the list of the other things I'm going to be able to need to do. So if anybody has any input, that would be great. I should have the organizational chart pretty much set up within the next 2 weeks with the holes that are there. And if anybody has any different ideas, Sharon's been great to be working on this. We're all so busy, but we, try to fit it in here and there. But that's kind of where I am right now. But Brendan Coakley was very interested, and he's willing to, help out however he can. Nantucket Inn has been very interested. So we're transportation's pretty much set. So, it's coming along. So.
Great. Any other comments? Sharon?
Liz, it's been a little bit since you and I followed up. Since our last conversation, what do you feel like is the biggest hole in our plan right now? Is it space? Is it storage? Is it budget?
Well, I think that the space, because it's going to be such a busy summer. I'd like to have 3 different places, because if the two, you know what I'm saying? Because if these spaces are occupied, then we're at a loss. So I really do think it's space. I think the budget wise, we'll be able to either get someone to maybe take care of the whole bill or part of it, or people chipping in, different factions chipping in. The Coast Guard, Andrew with the Coast Guard, still very interested in helping out however they can. So I don't necessarily feel budgetary wise. I think it can be either a lump sum, or broken down. And Legion Hall has stated that they have, quite a bit of room for storage if need be. So I think we can, figure something like that. But as I said, there's a lot that's swirling around, but it's difficult with how busy everybody is to actually pin down. Everyone agrees that we need to figure out something, because so the energy behind that is there. It's just now putting together all the pieces, and that's, a volunteer help that might be somewhat of a challenge to figure out, as you and I were talking, how many people that we would actually need, for the different numbers, because we're kind of planning for 3 different scenarios, if 10 to 20 people and 50 and then over. So I'm not really, I think that
Space is your
probably the
biggest concern.
place.
Yeah, that's the
really
biggest
is.
concern. Okay. I just wondered where you felt we were.
Yeah, Liz, have you talked to the VFW too? Seems like they have quite a bit of space out there also.
Yes, and I have yet to speak with them, but everyone that I know that is a contact for the VFW has kind of, it's not they haven't haven't tried to sway me away from the VFW because of personnel there. That's the thing, is that, and we're trying to set it up so we're allotting money for this place, and for also because somebody's, the VFW, there isn't someone there 24 hours a day, and also to pay somebody to be there overnight, so I just have to get the right ear to bend for the VFW, but everybody that I know that has, something to do with that faction is just saying that they're struggling as it is, so with personnel and stuff. The unfortunate thing in all of this, I finally did reach Allison from the Steamship Authority. That freight boat that I was really hoping that they'd have one scheduled late, to kind of catch up with everything, is only once in a blue moon thing, because that would have been awesome. So really, Highline is the last ticket out of here. With the 9:20 departure and then the 10 o'clock on Friday nights. So, we're really looking at after that time of when we would be needing to have people available to help out with this. Anyway, VFW is definitely on my list. Just finding the right ear to bend.
Great. Anyone else? All right. Next on the agenda.
Well, Peter's waving his hand.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Peter. I missed it.
That's the way let me just close it off with one suggestion, and I don't know who the suggestion goes to, but a starting point would be Liz. I know when I worked at Cape Air, they had a very well-defined, highly detailed plan for an emergency, a plane crash, and it basically came in an attaché case, and every station had one. And when there was an event that was anywhere within your reach, 50 miles, 10 miles in the ocean, whatever, you opened that up and there was a pre-planned program of who does what, and everything was there, and it was thought through in great detail. And one starting point might be to think that the first thing we need to do is try to cover all bases and just envision a framework that says, here are the things we need to do whenever something happens that we're overwhelmed by. And I would suggest that I know Johan Rodriguez, who's the station manager, a good friend of mine, would certainly give you more than the time of day to share with you how that works and how well it's thought through. And I think that kind of a framework trimmed down with a little analytic thinking could really address all of the things that we know we want to cover, but we don't have down in any kind of a plan. And then it's just a matter of saying, well, how much can we do to address this problem, and how do we do it, and how can we prepare to do it? One simple thing that comes to mind to me is, you've got an actual problem that you want to address, and then you have the narrative that's developing in the media. And the first thing that you want to have is somebody who is going to stand up in front of the first question that comes from the media and say, what's going on here? And the answer has to be, we are executing the plan that we have in place. Here are the things we are doing as best we can. So there's a way to do this. It's been thought out, and we don't have to kind of, move around in the dark room just feeling our way. We can take that, trim it down, and I think have a good starting point.
Right. Thank you for that, Peter. I have spoken extensively with Johan actually about this, and with Philip also out at the airport. And I think I would like to definitely, in terms of the actual model of the kit, would be great. They're worrying about where they're going to put people when things are canceled and things like that. The fact that it's the second busiest airport in New England, and the doors lock at a certain time and people are kicked out of the airport. You know what I mean? It's so they have their own thing. But I think in terms of the actual model of the kit, I will definitely get back in touch with him, and we did actually even spoke about who will be the spokesperson. Now thankfully we're not going to have CBS News interviewing us with a microphone in front, but it's still, it's just a lot of different things to think about, and how to carry this out in a calm and organized way, so everybody knows what the deal is, and then we can just put it into action. That's all. So that's a great idea.
Yeah, just keep in mind, it's not the kit, it's the thinking that went into it.
Right.
And that thinking can be extracted and then simplified into a much simpler model that says there's 4 bases we got to touch, and we got to think about how we're going to do it. And we may succeed more in some areas than in others, simply because there are limits to what we can do.
Right. Yep. we've got the base right here. And I'll talk and I'll speak with them about it again too. So that's a great idea. Thank you.
All right. Janet, your report.
Good morning. I have a quick report today. The Nantucket Cultural District is going to soft launch its new website this week. And we have the training for our partners on Thursday to teach them how to use the website to post their events and information about their organizations. And I think we'll be doing the full launch before Memorial Day weekend. So that's been a year in the making, and really glad to see it coming to fruition at this point. I started to transition to my new role, and I've been working on a cabinet retreat next week to focus on some HR issues. And I have been working with Libby on if you saw the State of the Town video, I helped with that information, and I'm now working on one about bike safety. So Peter Burke's comments about take any kind of transportation you can needs a little more meat on it, because people just do stupid things on bicycles, and we have to teach them how not to do stupid things on bicycles.
Right.
And last week I attended a meeting on HPIA. That's the bird flu that's going around and the impact that it's having on, I'm sure Sarah knows something about this. We discussed, the scientists there talked about how they're taking measurements and figuring out which birds are sick and getting samples, and there's a whole system in place for that. But I was concerned about people on the beach approaching dead birds or sick birds and how we get the word out about that. So there's going to be some work done to get that information out to the general public about stay away from the birds right now, including that. I think there's some concern about backyard chickens and poultry as well. I see Sarah has a point.
Yeah, Janet, I'm curious, was the meeting outside of Nantucket, or was it part of the Nantucket group?
It was the Nantucket group.
Okay, great. That's what I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that I was part of that group. Thanks.
And it was a scientist from Tufts who was
Yeah.
presenting the information. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of work being done on island to kind of, there's a chain of command for when people see birds and things like that. And so just the short version is tell people not to approach any birds that are not looking great, but I'm worried about poultry as well.
Yeah. And that's my report. Are there any questions?
Has there been any progress on your successor?
Yes, there has been, interviews have been completed, and I believe that there is an offer out there, but I don't know what the status of that is at this point.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Janet? All right, David.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I gave you the April stats. We seem to be getting back to normal. We had 673 people compared to 366 last year. Total phone calls 101 compared to 88 last year. Lodging inquiries about the same. Mailings are a little bit higher. I also wanted to let you know that we had a great daffodil weekend at the office. We had a total over 4 days from Thursday to Sunday of about 270 people, which, any year after something like COVID is great compared to, none at all. And then with comparison to 2019, there were 415. So we're getting back to, back on track. I am still trying to get download info from the information technology department. My contact there has been trying to contact the Google Analytics and the other groups that are supposed to be doing the, checking the downloads, and it's taking time to get back. So please be patient, and I will hopefully get you all the restaurant list downloads, because I certainly want to know what's going on there too. And then switching gears, I just want to let you know that we have, if you've probably seen, we have had ads in the paper and online as well to hire seasonal information aides. And so far, I've hired 2 new people for the season, and one's going to start Memorial Weekend, and the other is going to start in mid-June. And our other staff is coming back by mid-June as well. We also are going to be represented at the job fair this Thursday. So, hopefully we might get a student or 2 out of that. And then with Children's Beach, I met with the new restaurant owners there at the concession stand. It's the women who run the surf out at Surfside. They're going to be running the Children's Beach version of the surf, and they're going to serve breakfast in the morning. And it's going to be, full service food in there, unlike, the last one, which was more kind of a mix of gifts and food and snacks. We have pretty much a full concert schedule for Sunday nights starting June 19th. We'll go run through mid-August. We only have 1 open date for that, but everything else is filled in. So we'll be making we'll be doing promotions on that shortly. We also have the yoga in the morning is going to be coming back from like mid-June to Labor Day weekend. They're going to be there in the morning from 7:30 to 8:30, Monday through Saturday. And we're also going to have our puppet show, Nan Puppets, on Saturday morning at 10:30. And then Marjorie Trott's coming back to do a pop-up creative children's movement whenever necessary. She's not going to do a full schedule, so it's something that she's going to do it as she can. And let's see what else. So, we're moving right along and getting, from May into June, hopefully, and have a good season. So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for David?
Liz?
Just wondering, you know what I'm going to ask probably, when the when the information kiosk is going to be open on Straight Wharf.
Probably not until about mid-June this year. I have only got a skeleton staff until then, and then hopefully we'll have Jane Hardy and a few other people down there.
Oh, good. Just so we know how long we'll be filling in, which is fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Anyone else? All right. I guess that just leaves, we'll have a date in June to meet. Correct, Janet?
Is there normally a June meeting, David?
Usually, and then we skip July or August.
Okay. That date would be the 2nd. June is the 14th. You may well have a new director of culture and tourism by then.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'll make
Matt's
a
got his hands. Matt's got his
What's
hand up.
Oh, sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Sean. Do we have a topic for the next meeting? Because I was just curious. I wonder, like maybe Noah Carberg or somebody from the airport would be great to ask some questions with them, especially with all the cancellations of flights this year as well. Just kind of see what the state of that is. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. If anybody want to, I can reach out to them if we don't have a topic set yet. So.
Okay. Well, there is a airline that cut their service to Nantucket, right? For the summer. Was it JetBlue?
Cape Air.
Cape Air and
Air.
JetBlue, I believe.
And JetBlue, they're not flying from New York until after July 5th.
All right. Well, is that want to decide offline for next week, for next month?
Yeah, we'll contact the airport and see if we can get somebody.
Okay.
And
Okay.
Sharon had her hand up.
Oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
Sharon.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Janet for chairing this committee all this time. You know, I haven't been on forever and ever, but thank you. If we just dawned on me that we may not see you on the screen next month, as you said that. And thank you for all you've done for everybody here in the town. And we wish you the best of luck with your new job. And anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Mary?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Sharon and I raised our hands at the same time. Thank you, Janet. It's been a pleasure from the Mariah Mitchell to the chamber to here. We've known each other a long time. So thank you. And also don't forget to vote today.
Right.
And I want to put a big megaphone on what's been said, Janet. You're terrific. You really made this place work.
Thank you. My pleasure. You'll see me
Absolutely.
around town.
Hope so.
All right. All right. Well, yes. I guess from there, we'll just have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Janet. And have a great month. And we'll talk to you all in June.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, everyone.